J.J. Gray, welcome back to eTown.
Thank you for having me.
Such a good singer. Did you always know when you were a kid? Did you know you were going to be a guy who could sing? Did you know that when you were a little kid?
No.
No? You had to figure it out.
No.
As I understand it, you were bused, right? When you were a kid, you were part of the sort of desegregation world. You were bused to different schools.
That's right.
So did that change the music you were listening to when you were little?
Oh, yeah. I went from Coward of the County, Kenny Rogers, which I still love, to Time, listen to the Time and Isley Brothers and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so when you were coming home from school and you're bringing that music home, your parents like, what are you listening to? Or were they just like, oh, that's cool?
Well, most of the people knew most of the music anyway, because the funny thing was the people that got bused during desegregation were already desegregated where I lived for the most part, because there was a little juke joint behind my grandparents' trailer park, and they would play on Saturday nights, and some bands would come in and play, or they have a DJ spin records,
Right.
So I was. Well, you weren't supposed to do that. As long as Mom and Daddy wouldn't find it out, you'd slide by there and check it out during the day.
Like during the day, there would be bands playing, or were you going to check out sound check? Or?
Yeah, they'd set up, like there was an old abandoned flatbed trailer, but a short one, and they'd set up bands on it sometimes, or inside the place, and they had all those big electric wooden spools flipped over for tables. They cooked barbecue, and they'd give me some bottles,
To get the deposits, to get the nickel back
that's
on
right. That's right. You could
Okay.
get 10 cent. Yeah, they wouldn't give me no bottle of no beer or nothing.
Yeah. They give you the empties, yeah.
Well, it was a nickel then, and I had a cheap uncle who had a little grocery store, and he'd only give us 2.5 cents. So we were supposed to go there rather than the Little Champ. The Little Champ was where Mom and Daddy said hoods hung out at the Little Champ. You got to go to Uncle Ruiz's to get but Uncle Ruiz only gave us 2.5 cents.
He kept the other half?
He gave you a full nickel for 2 bottles, but 2.5 cents. So that meant 2 cents. 2 cents for 1 bottle, 5 cents for 2.
Yeah. Look at these. So there's your math lesson right there. And you're prepared for being the life on the road where you got to figure it all out.
That's right. Got to calculate.
That is wild. And your parents, your grandparents, they raised chickens, right?
That's right.
They had a lot of chickens.
Thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
We had 2 chicken houses, 50 feet by 500 feet, and they were full during the growing cycle. And they grew fryers, and then they went in the egg business. But that was not to sell themselves. All this was for another company, and it's almost like sharecropping a little bit. It's not the greatest day ever is when they got out of that business and sold the houses.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy living.
No. Did you help them out at all?
Oh yeah, all summer, every summer. I'd drive a front end loader and clean the house out, run the drapes up, and I don't know why they would run the drapes up in the middle of the summer because it's just solid. Not pneumonia, ammonia, solid ammonia when you go inside of it. And you have to go in there and hold your breath to run all the drapes down so air could go through there again and go get it all out. And that's where they made money, selling fertilizer.
Wow. And was your health ever affected by doing that when you were little?
No, not really. You're a kid, you don't notice anything.
Yeah.
I didn't get, I'd get sick occasionally. But it wasn't from that. I think it was just...
Yeah. And now you raise chickens yourself, right?
If you want, I don't raise them. They raise themselves now. I got 6. Right now I've got 6. 3 of them got popped while I was on tour.
Like a fox or something came through?
I think a coyote, or, I got eagles, bald eagles. I got hawks, coyotes, and I got a big bobcat. And I don't begrudge none of them, although, when you got 9 chickens, you know all of them really well. They're your friends.
Yeah.
It's not when you got 60,000 chickens, you couldn't care less how many of them get whacked.
Yeah. But you're down to 6, and you know their names, and
yes.
You're hanging out.
Their personalities. Chickens have personalities like crazy. I mean, they're like human beings to me. So.
Yeah. Does it change the way you order chicken when you go to a restaurant?
Not at all. Not at all. No, it doesn't slow me down at Chick-fil-A at all. Yeah.
Although I bet you lean towards an organic chicken if you've got the choice.
Oh, well, 100%.
Yeah.
100% free range. Yeah, and my chickens, they're out from noon to 7 all day or noon.
Oh, wow.
And they get to run in a lot of oyster shell where I live. I don't have to do anything really. I can just throw them out some scratch here and there and let them roll.
How about? And I know you still take time to surf from time to time.
Oh yeah, when there's waves and when it's warm enough. Although the cold doesn't bother me like it used to. Yeah. So, but I haven't been this year. I was going to go and the waves were good, and I got there and it was so crowded with longboarders, and I'm still riding a shortboard. I was just like, I'm out of here. I'll go home and get the grandpa board and come back, but I never did.
Do you take your daughter surfing?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she loves it now. I used to put her on the longboard in front of me, and I say that, the grandpa board. I'm on the grandpa board because I'm almost a grandpa, but she would sit in front of me on the board like Gidget, and I just catch a wave, and then she'd stand up, and I'd grab her calves so she wouldn't fall down, and then I just keep my head down facing the board and let her sit on the top of my head here. But now she catches waves on her own. She does her own thing.
Anybody ever take a movie of you with her sitting on your head?
My
surfing?
son did, yes.
Yeah?
And she's got her arms straight out like this.
I got to check that out. That is a sight I want to see. Well, listen, JJ, we have a ton of music. I know you're working on a new record. You're always working on something. I understand you also played with an orchestra not that long ago. You got to do that, right?
Yes, that was great. I'd love to do that again. That was
must have been
one of the highlights.
And it was your music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They did a whole medley of different tunes of mine and did a whole 52-piece symphony set with that. And I was like, oh, I don't get awestruck too much because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the importance of anything. I just do it and enjoy it. But that one caught me for a split second. It's like, because people say, oh my gosh, meeting the people you get to meeting you. I'm like, everybody's been so cool and so nice and so normal. I never felt like I was meeting anybody famous. And it's kind of the same thing, except that symphony orchestra. When they were all playing it, I was like, so that got me.
Yeah, that's a powerful sound, isn't it?
It is.
It's a powerful
so
sound.
subtle and so on it.
They don't always have good time, but they sound amazing.
They don't swing as well. They kind of.
Hey, listen, before we get back to music, I just want to mention, and I know most of your fans, most of our listeners know this about you, but I think of you as a guy who is kind of like the Rosetta Stone or something. You can relate to anybody. You can connect with an audience, and you can kind of bridge all these gaps. And we live in a kind of a divided time, mm-hmm. and you walk in that. Brighter Days is a great example. You find that way to connect with people. But you can you're a dad, you're a surfer, you're love the natural world. You write songs about protecting habitat, and yet you can just be a rocker as good as anybody. I wonder sometimes if you think about that role that you have, because to me, I see you as almost like an ambassador to the state of common sense in some way. Like you're a guy who can go everywhere and have a conversation.
Yeah, my dad would beg to differ with you on that one.
Yeah. Even now, or just when you were younger?
No. Yeah, just when I was younger. I had the same thing as Jerry Reed had when he wrote Alabama Wild Man.
Oh yeah, that was you.
Yeah, that was me. and fair enough. He was right until I got serious. When I got serious, he actually backed my play about it a lot more. But with all that kind of stuff, I was guilty as anybody, and still do it from time to time, of building boxes for other people to live in, other things to dwell in, but I don't want to be put in no box. You know what I mean? And I realized the universe is infinite, so they say. I know it's a lot bigger than even this planet, so there's enough room for everybody's opinion. You know what I mean? Even if I vehemently disagree with it, there's enough room for everybody's opinion, man. And stop crying about it and start making things better somehow,
Yeah.
So, and that was the advice I was actually giving myself years ago. So And I'm still trying to do that. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I'm cool-headed and you know, that kind of stuff.
But do you get crosswise sometimes, like when you're home and you write these songs about, you know, against development and against golf courses and gated communities? Do you run up against your buddies who are thinking, man, what are you now, some kind of environmentalist, or what are you doing?
No, because, you know, I was never against any of it. I'm just, there's a smart way to do things and there's dumb ways to do things. And, you know, it's the old saying, you can have it cheap, you can have it fast, or you can do it right, and you only can pick two. And I feel it's the same way. You can apply that principle to everything. So if you do something cheap and fast, it ain't gonna be good. And if you do something good and cheap, it's gonna take a long time to do it. So I never was against anything. I wrote those songs to remind myself about what was important, because I was as busy throwing the baby out with the bathwater as anybody now or at any other point in life. So I had to remind myself of what's important.
Well, it's cool. You get to be a role model. We're glad you're here. Let's get back to music. Welcome back, J.J. Gray to eTown.